Hello everyone, welcome to Design Academy. I am Dr. Radhika Mohan and I am going to take your classes on concepts of biology. So let me share my screen first. We're going to cover Unit 2, World of Living, Life Processes. So what is the basic criteria to decide what is living and what is not living, what is alive and not alive? The most apparent characteristic of life is movement. There are two types of movement. One is visible, another is invisible. Visible movement comprises of change of position and part of an organism. For example, a flying bird, a running dog. Plants do not show such kind of movements, but there are slow movements in plant kingdoms. For example, growth and bending. There are some exceptions to it, like for example, sensitive plants like Mimosa pudica, which responds to touch. And so sensitivity also helps us to find what is living and what is not living. Even when you are sleeping, we are breathing. So there's exchange of gases, which makes us feel living. And we can easily identify if someone is alive or not. So these are the visible movements. But then there are some invisible movements which occur at molecular level or cellular level. There are always exceptions to living and non-living, and those are semi-living organisms such as viruses. Viruses are lifeless as long as they're outside the host, and once they enter into the host, they use all machinery and become living. And then they show movements at the molecular level. So when we are sleeping or we're relaxing or we're taking rest, our body is doing a maintenance job. And for that, life processes are required. So what are the life processes? These are the activities and functions of living beings which are essential for maintenance and survival. We need energy to maintain our body, to prevent damage and breakdown of any cellular structure. And this is one of the life processes where our energy is maintained. We procure energy in the form of nutrition. We take food inside our body for repair and bodybuilding, which is one of the life processes and very much fundamental to life. Another life process is respiration, which involves energy yielding process in which organic materials are broken down to give energy. Organisms also exchange their materials in outside environment. For example, we take oxygen, water, and minerals from environment, and we pass other waste materials and carbon dioxide back into the environment. So there's always an exchange of material, and the most general phenomenon of exchange of material is diffusion. In complex multicellular organisms, we have specialized organs and general surfaces for exchange of materials. Transportation is another life process which happens in multicellular organisms. They have well-developed blood and lymph systems which helps in transporting the material. Diffusion is not very much successful because it may take very long time to transport materials inside the body. Then in plants, we have vascular system such as xylem and phloem, which helps in transportation of food material. And these are all life processes. Then we have excretory system, which helps in expulsion of waste materials, urea, uric acid, for example. And these are the waste byproducts of metabolism. And if they are stored inside the body, they would cause toxicity, so they should be excreted. In plants, we don't have well-developed excretory system, but they can store waste products in dead tissues and senescent leaves. So these were the various life processes. Coming down to the definition of nutrition. What is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of obtaining food. And after obtaining food, what do we actually do? We utilize the food for obtaining energy. And so it has three major steps: ingestion, digestion, and egestion. What is food? It's a carbon-based material which helps in various functions, like, for example, bodybuilding, growth, and repair. Proteins are the essential components which help in repair and growth. And it provides energy. Chemical energy is stored in the food, which is converted into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, in our body and provides energy for the cellular functions. Then we take food for producing regulators like hormones, vitamins, enzymes, and for the development, for example, development of size, shape. So on the basis of nutrition, living organisms are classified into two categories, broadly classified into autotrophs and heterotrophs. Auto means self. Autotrophs follow autotrophic nutrition, and they produce organic food material by using inorganic raw material. For example, carbon dioxide, water, mineral. They sometimes can use solar radiations as well. Sometimes they directly create food, synthesize food inside their body from chemical reactions. And some of the examples are green plants, cyanobacteria, some other bacteria, and protists. And heterotrophs are those organisms which take ready-made food material, for example, fungi, protozoans, and bacteria. So what is autotrophic nutrition? As the definition suggests, these are the organisms who build their own organic food from inorganic raw materials with the help of energy obtained from outside. So the most common mode of autotrophic nutrition is found in plants. Plants are also known as photoautotrophs. That means they are dependent on light. And the process of photosynthesis is the formation of organic food from inorganic raw material with the help of sunlight inside the chlorophyll containing cells. So where is the site of photosynthesis? It is chloroplast. These are the green plastids which are found inside the plant cells, and they contain chlorophyll, a green color pigment. So as you can see in the diagram, this is a cross section of leaf. This is midrib and vein, and you can find the cross section. It has upper dermis and the lower dermis, and in between there's a mesophyll. Now these mesophyll generally contain parenchymatous cells, and these are palisade parenchymatous cells. Palisade parenchymatous cells are cylindrical in shape or columnar in shape, and these are the spongy cells. Most of the chloroplasts are found in palisade parenchymatous cells, and these are the guard cells. This is around the opening known as stomata. So this is the general cross-section of the leaf, and chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, which helps in the photosynthesis process. So what are the three events of photosynthesis? First of all, absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. The second step is splitting of water and conversion of light energy into the chemical energy. Now this chemical energy is used for reduction of carbon dioxide to form carbohydrates and other biochemicals. Example, glucose, starch. So mostly plants, they store their food in the form of glucose, or starch is formed later, or sucrose is a transported form of food. So what is the raw material for photosynthesis? First, we need chlorophyll. It's a green colored photosynthetic pigment which is specialized to absorb solar energy, and then it converts it into the chemical energy. Then we have carotenoids, and these are tetraterpenoids, and they can be of yellow, orange, and red color. What they basically do, they absorb the light energy and pass it on to chlorophyll. Then we need carbon dioxide, which is most essential to carry on the task of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide enters through stomatas. Stomatas are the tiny openings on the surface of cell. So I have showed you the guard cells in previous slide. So these are the guard cells. So whenever water enters into the guard cell, it gets swollen, and the opening, the stomatal opening, widens out. So it opens the stomatal pore, and whenever the water gets out of these guard cells, they shrink and stomata closes. So open stomata allows a quick gaseous exchange, and it provides carbon dioxide to the photosynthetic cells, which are very essential. Then we need water. Water has absorbed minerals as well. We take it from soil. Then we need light to carry the process of photosynthesis. We need the range of 390 to 760 nanometer, and it causes photolysis of water and excitation of chlorophyll. So these are some of the activities which we can perform. These are experiments we can carry on to find if chlorophyll and carbon dioxide are really necessary for photosynthesis. So this first experiment, as shown in the slide, is about understanding why chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. So you take any potted plant which has variegated leaves, and what you do basically, you put it into the dark for a couple of days so that all of the starch is consumed and it gets destarched. And then you put the plants into the sunlight for a couple of hours again, and you pluck one of the leaves. You will find some of the green areas here. And then you subject it to a starch test in which you can dip this leaf in a boiling water. And after that, there's a second step which you have to continue in starch test, in which you have to immerse this leaf into the alcohol, and you take this container and put it into a water bath so that alcohol starts boiling. After that, you dip this particular leaf in dilute solution of iodine and then rinse off with water. So wherever there was chlorophyll, there you'll get bluish green color or bluish color of the iodine, and it is stained with it. So it proves that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Another experiment which we can conduct to understand if carbon dioxide is really necessary for photosynthesis is that we can take two potted plants of similar sizes and almost similar. You again subject it to the procedure of destarching. It means that you have to put it into the dark phase for a couple of days, and so that starch is consumed, and then you expose it to the light for particular hours, few hours, like 2 or 4 hours, and then you put it on the glass plate and place a watch glass having potassium hydroxide and cover it with a glass jar, a glass bell jar. Seal it with Vaseline if you can. And when you would observe the starch test after plucking leaves from both of these experimental pots, what would you observe? That the pot A would not show positive starch test because potassium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide completely. And this experiment proves, because after photosynthesis, starch is a byproduct. So this experiment in itself proves that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So while light is necessary for photosynthesis, yes, light is also very much essential. Here also, you take a potted plant and subject it to dark phase treatment where it loses all of its starch, and you put a black sellotape on the leaf. After that, you expose it to the light for 2 or 3 hours and take off this, pluck the leaf and take off this black tape and subject it to the starch test. You will find the covered part of the leaf remains pale due to absence of starch and because it was not able to face light. So light is also necessary for photosynthesis. All of these experiments prove that chlorophyll, carbon dioxide, and light is necessary for photosynthesis. So what is the mechanism of photosynthesis? This is an overall equation where we need carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, a green color pigment, sunlight, and it will produce glucose or carbohydrate, and it would release oxygen as a byproduct. The photosynthesis takes place in two phases, and the first phase is photochemical phase or Hill reaction or light reaction. The second phase is biosynthetic phase, Blackman's reaction or dark reaction. So what is light reaction? As the name suggests, it would take place in the presence of light. So it includes photolysis of water, where you're lysing water with the help of light, and formation of assimilatory power. So what really happens? Two molecules of water would give four protons and 4 electrons, and oxygen is released in this step. It takes place in the presence of minerals like manganese, chloride ions, and calcium ions. Simultaneously, assimilatory power is produced in the form of ATP and NADPH. What is ATP? Is adenosine triphosphate. And what is NADPH? It's a reduced form of NADP, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So these assimilatory power helps in carbon fixation, carbon dioxide fixation during dark phase, and this is very essential. So what are the byproducts? First, oxygen is released, water is lysed, oxygen is released as a byproduct, ATP and NADPH is produced. Now this NADPH provides, it's a reducing agent, it provides help in fixing carbon dioxide, where it reduces to form carbon dioxide into a carbohydrate, and that finishes the process of dark reaction in photosynthesis. So this is a diagrammatic representation of light and dark reactions. So you can see this is a chloroplast, this is an outer membrane, inner membrane, intermembrane space. This is granum, it's a stack of thylakoids. The matrix, which is filled with aqueous fluid, is stroma. Each single flattened sac is thylakoid, which has a lumen. So what happens in light reaction? This particular phase is a dark reaction. And here, light reaction is taking place. So water is split and oxygen is released. Assimilatory power, ATP and NADPH, are utilized in Calvin cycle, which is operated in dark reaction. Carbon dioxide is fixed to form sugar, which is glucose, and this takes place in dark reaction. There are exceptions to it, like for example, in the case of desert plants, which absorb carbon dioxide in the night time. So next category is that of chemotrophs. These are the organisms which derive energy from chemical reactions. So they can be autotrophic organisms or heterotrophic organisms. And they are generally found in ocean floors, like for example, in the deep sea vent in Atlantic Ocean, because it's a source of inorganic energy sources such as hydrogen sulfide, elemental sulfur, ferrous ions, molecular hydrogen, ammonia. So chemotrophs can be heterochemotrophs, or they can be heterotrophic as well as autotrophic. So examples are methanogens, which produce methane as a byproduct. Halophiles are those organisms which thrive in salt conditions. Thermoacidophiles are those organisms which survive in high temperature and low pH. And so example of chemoautotrophs are archaebacteria. These are the bacteria which are very ancient and found in as an extremophiles. So what is the basic difference between autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition? Food is manufactured by organism in the case of autotrophic nutrition, whereas we take ready-made food material from outside, be it a plant or anything, in the case of heterotrophic nutrition. Here, external source of energy is important in autotrophic nutrition. And what is external source of energy? It is solar radiation. Whereas in the case of heterotrophic nutrition, energy is obtained directly from the food. Inorganic raw materials are obtained from outside in the case of autotrophic nutrition, but they are not required in heterotrophic nutrition. Chlorophyll is required by many of the photoautotrophs, but chlorophyll is not required in heterotrophic nutrition. So what are the different types of autotrophic nutrition? Photoautotrophs, chemoautotrophs, and what are the different types of heterotrophic nutrition? Saprophytic, parasitic, and holozoic. So let's cover saprophytic nutrition. It is also known as lysotropic nutrition. In this, organisms obtain their nutrients from organic remains, generally dead and decayed matter, and they perform external digestion. External digestion is also known as extracellular digestion, where they throw their digestive enzymes on the food and solubilize it. And these solubilized molecules are then ingested. They do not cause any disease. Saprophytic nutrition do not cause any disease, just like the parasitic organisms do. And example is bread mold, yeast, and mushroom. So you can see in the image, it's mycelium. It's a network of hyphae, which is developed by fungus, and it is fundamental to fungal nutrition. So this is a network. Mycelium is a mycelial cord which is forming a network, and it extracts its nutrition from the dead and decayed organic matter. So next is parasitic nutrition. Here, the organism which is known as parasite, it obtains food from another organism which is known as host. Excuse me, host. And external digestion is absent. Parasite may cause disease. So there are two types of parasites, ectoparasites and endoparasites. For example, cuscuta. So this cuscuta is a plant which is in the dodder family, and basically it produces hostoria. Whenever it finds its host plant, it forms hostoria and it inserts into the vascular system of the plant, and until the roots of this plant dies, and then it spreads over the large kilometers, large areas. So it doesn't stop there. And then we have endoparasites like tapeworms. Tapeworms have hooks and suckers, and basically they attach to the intestine, and they also cause disease. So this is parasitic mode of nutrition in which disease can be caused. The most common disease by tapeworm is teniasis, and it is very regenerative. So another is Holozoic nutrition. It is also known as ingestive nutrition. Here, the food particles can be in the form of solids, liquids, and gases. They can be ingested, digested, absorbed, and assimilated. So ingested is when you take the food inside, be it through mouth. In the case of protozoans, we can find the process of phagocytosis. Then digestion is breakdown of complex molecules into simpler molecules. Absorption is through active and passive transport. Assimilation is where all these materials are used for bodybuilding. And then egestion is a process in which undigested food material is expelled out of the body. So Holozoic nutrition follows 5 steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. Protozoans such as amoeba and free-living organisms, humans, herbivores, and carnivores, they all follow Holozoic nutrition. So how do organisms obtain their nutrition? Like in the case of unicellular organisms, food can be directly taken from the surface, entire surface. So here you can see the process of phagocytosis. Here the food particle is available to amoeba. This is nutrition in amoeba. they will grow pseudopodia. This is a temporary arm-like projection or finger-like projection, which engulfs the food. And after, when the tip of pseudopodia joins, they form a food vacuole, which is full of digestive enzymes. It digests the food material, and undigested matter is expelled out of the surface. So they follow all 5 steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. In some of the ciliates, like Paramecium, we have a fixed kind of definite cell mouth known as cytostome, and it absorbs food through cilia. But there is an oral opening and there's an anal pore as well, which is also known as a temporary pipe cytopygian paramecium. So this is how organism obtain their nutrition. This is for today. Thank you very much.